the sentiment in the precious metal space seems to be changing in a positive way, and there's a lot of excitement around here.
Well, hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for Arcadia Economics, still at the Rick Rule Symposium down here in Boca Raton, Florida, where I am with my new friend that I met yesterday, Matt Roma of Golden Cross, who has some interesting things to say about a project he's working on, and also some things we've been discussing in the gold market. Although, just so you can get a little quick tour, Matt, you've been around there and you have your booth on the other side. So first of all, welcome on in, and
Thank you.
it's nice to meet you. And anything you'd like to tell people about the show, maybe any of the seminars you learned something good, or a lot of gold and silver talk, and especially for the mining investors too.
Yeah, no. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And yeah, this is actually my first time down at this conference. So I don't have a ton to compare it to, but I will say from the people I have talked to, the sentiment in the precious metal space seems to be changing in a positive way, and there's a lot of excitement around here.
Yeah, and I would say that as opposed to last year, which was here in the same location, definitely a bit more optimism. Now, we did already have the gold and silver rally start last year by this time, although obviously a mining stock heavy crowd here. And I think that has helped quite a bit, because something I know that you're dealing with day by day. It seems like, especially in the mining sector, we've finally seen a shift of money starting to come back into the sector, which is something I know pretty much everyone, if you came here last year, everyone was saying, when is the money going to start coming in? And anything you could share about what you've been seeing on that side, especially on the juniors?
Yeah, I would say, there's over the last number of weeks, there has been a lot of financings put up and closed. Us ourselves, we just closed a $5 million financing yesterday. The demand was well exceeded any of our expectations on that. And yeah, it's great to see that there's money kind of coming into this sector like I haven't seen in a number of years.
Yeah, and I would imagine even if you'd done the exact same financing last year, probably would have been a much different situation.
Yeah.
I think you were even oversubscribed on yours. So I would say that is a key takeaway from this year's symposium, and certainly nice to see, because you've had the bullion price rallying for a while. And again, like we mentioned, everyone waiting for money to come into the stocks. Now, with that said, now that the price is elevated on bullion, I see like a lot of these bank analysts, they seem to be looking at this differently from what you hear inside of the metals world, where you still see the long-term forecast, 2,100 from a bank, 2,500. Curious, any thoughts on just the various opinions as you're out meeting a lot of people? And
yeah, I think that is starting to change, and what I think is a bit of a leading indicator there is, the generalists are starting to come back into the precious metal space, and gold and silver and now copper are starting to be a much more talked about metal, and that's a great sign for this space, and hopefully it's here to continue. And it definitely feels like this is really the first inning of what I hope to be a bull market that's here for time to stay.
yeah, and I might add, we're recording on Wednesday, July 9th. Quite a day for copper yesterday, based on the latest tariff policies. And we'll leave aside any trade deals, although I know Scott Bessent had said this week he's planning news, and we'll see how that goes. And quite theatrical, the reaction in gold and silver on a day-to-day basis. Although one thing that I feel is worth thinking about, that I have not heard many people talk about, is that we've seen the back and forth with Trump, and it doesn't seem like he likes Jerome Powell, or is going to get his jersey anytime soon. Yet he can sit there, call him a numbskull, a loser, suggest maybe he's not the best way to handle some of these situations yet. And then you also hear the articles about how Trump's getting ready to pick the successor. But I don't feel there's a lot of connection yet where, Powell and the Fed, they said their dot plot, they're planning rate cuts, maybe less than expected, but whether he cuts the rates a lot or it's the next guy. And I think the markets are starting to sniff out we're going to get interest rates in the US as well. And any thoughts you have on what is someone supposed to think when they look at that dynamic?
Yeah, no, I mean, with respect to the precious metal market, I mean, it's obviously very volatile. Gold, for example, up, down $30 yesterday, kind of hovering around the same. Who knows where it goes tomorrow? Could be back up, could drop another $30. A very volatile market. But at the end of the day, it does feel, whether it's Powell or his successor, that it feels like rate cuts are somewhat inevitable. Which at the end of the day is good for gold and should see the metal rally, and where it goes to be determined. But the major mining companies today, whether it's at $3,000 gold or $3,500 gold, are printing money and it's it's here to stay, I hope.
Yeah, I'm curious if you could answer something on the gold side, because we talk a lot about in silver where, let's say you had the silver price go back to the mid or low 20s. It's a little disconcerting to think about the damage that would do in the silver mining space, which has been a bit tighter. Wow, and we're getting thunder and lightning inside, but Matt rolled right through it like a veteran champion. But like I was saying, if you have silver really go down quite a bit, there's going to be ramifications. How would you put the situation in gold where you have a bit more margin in general? How much could it withstand, or is there a level where projects really start to get put on hold or anything along those lines?
I think good gold projects, anything north of $2,000 gold is still a really strong gold price and one we have, rarely seen. Above 3,000 is just, an incredible gold price. And, the margins that these companies are seeing, whether it's 2,000, 2,500, 3,000 or north of that, I think, these gold projects that are in production now are, operating at much lower cost than what the gold price is today. And even if it was to be, cut down to the low 2,000s, are still very profitable operations.
Okay, that makes sense. And definitely more room than on the silver side, which is always nice when you have some margin for error. And just as one metric here, you can see any blue lines. I mean, this is silver. So here you can see really throughout the beginning of 2025. And I look at that as a barometer of institutional as opposed to the retail of what's going into the ETFs. Similar picture here in gold, maybe a little bit lumpy, but you can see the majority of that blue, some big spikes. So again, it is certainly encouraging. I mean, we had some dark days back in 2022 and 2023. And again, perhaps taking it back to the mining sector, if you could give folks an idea of what you've been doing. You explained it to me yesterday, and it's certainly intriguing, particularly the location that you're in, and if you could just lay out the dynamics of the project.
Absolutely. So this company is fairly brand new and somewhat unheard of, and I'm sure most of your audience has not heard of it, but we have a company called Golden Cross Resources. It trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the ticker AUX. We are located in Victoria, Australia. And we own 345 square kilometers directly north and contiguous to the Sunday Creek Southern Cross project.
And where could we find the map so I can pull that up?
You can find it right here under project. And if you scroll down, so that's right there. So to the south is Southern Cross's Sunday Creek project, a $1.7 billion gold exploration play. Basically a drill discovery that was really showcased to the market last year, probably the biggest discovery last year. And we own all of the ground directly to the north and to the east. And we are a fully funded, fully permitted, currently drilling operation. Our market cap is currently around $33 million. We just closed a financing yesterday of $5 million. And that basically gives us drill runway until December 2026. We're currently operating one rig on the project and going to two as early as next week. And yeah, that's really the opportunity. We have very similar geology to what we see at Sunday Creek, to the mines to the north being Fosterville and the Costerfield mine. And we're really in the first inning of an exciting drill story, with a neighbor that has showcased that this geology is not just to the north, and they're finding it at Sunday Creek, and we've got a lot of blue sky at our project, and we're just tapping into it.
Yeah, and Matt, could you tell people about what you were explaining to me yesterday, the process by which you were bidding? Because obviously, every junior project is different, but sometimes some of them that are looking for a buyer to ultimately take them out. And I thought that was something that would be helpful for people to know.
Yeah, so the company that we acquired this from is a company called Great Pacific Gold, and they had operations in both Australia as well as Papua New Guinea, and that company was started by one of the founders of K92. So a very similar play. Great Pacific is operating really close to the K92 assets. So the company was looking to bring in some non-dilutive financing. And when we got wind of that, one of my board members started K92 with the founders of GPAC or Great Pacific. And when we got wind that this project was going to be for sale, we started doing due diligence almost immediately. And our technical team raved about the prospectivity, of the project. And basically the way we cut the deal was Great Pacific really liked this package, but they couldn't operate in two jurisdictions. So the way we structured the deal with them was we gave them $1 million in cash and basically 10% of the company post-vend, post-money, so that they would still have the upside that on this ground that they really liked. And we initially raised money when we launched this company at 15 cents. The stock trading in the low 50s right now, so they're very happy shareholders.
Matt, obviously, we're here at the Rick Rule Symposium, and I think anyone who's heard Rick speak knows that one of the things he looks for is how big can the project be. What would you say based on what you've seen so far? Do you have a target, or what you think is possible, or?
Yeah, I would say it's very early days to start putting a forecast on what we have. But what we are seeing is in this area that we're working, and same with Southern Cross and Sunday Creek, is this was an area back in the late 1800s till about 1910 that had a lot of artisanal mining going on. And what they would do is they would find the type of geology this is, these high grade veins, and they would get into these high grade veins and they would dig them out to as low as they can go with the limited tools that they had. And what we can see is there are old gold workings across all of our project, and you can pick that up through LiDAR imagery, which we flew very early on once we got our hands on the project, and there is no shortage of drill targets here. To put in perspective, our Sunday Creek is about a 1,400 meter trend. And we have 345 square kilometers that have old workings across the entire project, with the highest focus or the highest concentration of these workings at Reedy Creek, which is where we're drilling now, and will be the focus of the cash we have in the bank today. But as we start drilling, we'll have some other work doing groundwork on the other areas. So this is a place where you can drill 12 months of the year, and that will be exactly what we intend to do.
Well, and I know that's also within your skill set because it just came from Snowline Gold, which obviously did quite well. And perhaps, Matt, you could just let folks know if they'd like to get in touch, find out more, what's the best way to do that, and also if there's anything else you feel they should know that we didn't touch on yet.
Yeah, for those interested, please go to our website, goldencrossresources.com. Subscribe to our newsletter, reach out to our info line. Any specific questions for me, please don't hesitate. Email the info line, I will get back to you. And yeah, thanks for listening to the story.
Well, I appreciate that. In fact, after we talked yesterday, I called one of my friends who's spends most of his life investing in mining stocks these days, and he's obviously familiar with Southern Cross. So I think it's good you have someone right there, a neighbor who's not involved directly in a sense, but that people are familiar with, and be exciting to see. I know you have a busy summer planned, and excited to be out drilling. So
Yeah.
pleasure to meet you here today.
Yeah, no, thanks very much.
Thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll look forward to following your success, Matt.
Awesome. All the best. Thank you.